Hi BookTube. I'm here with my September TBR. I am not going to be playing my game for the foreseeable future. I've been having a lot of trouble with reading slumps lately, trying different approaches, and I'm going to try a new approach for September. Yeah, so what I did, and I'm dedicated to this now, so because it took a long time to do and it'll take a long time to undo. What I did is rearrange my bookshelves. I completely took everything off my shelves and then I tried to randomize it. Let me explain the process a bit better here. So I have 38 rows of books for my TBR. There's books like, up here's my Bibles, up here's Wheel of Time, up here are like fancy books, up here are like pop-up and then children's books. So a few of those shelves aren't my TBR. The other ones are, and that's 38 altogether. So I put 38 pieces of paper on the floor, and then I just started pulling books randomly off the shelves and setting them on. There should be between 22 to 25 fiction books on each shelf, at least 4 nonfiction, and then at least 2 books that have to deal with religion. So the plan is that each row, and by row I mean like my books are double stacked, so this right here is a row, and then behind it is a separate row. Okay, so each row is going to be my monthly TBR. And to make it even more random, I'm going to roll dice to figure out which shelf to read. And there's like no rhyme or reason aside from the split of fiction, nonfiction, and religion. It's just totally random. If I come across books that I've read, I can decide if I want to reread it or skip it. I don't plan on reading all like 32 books in a month. It'd be great if I could, but you know, I'm not going to. It's just gonna be like a pile of possibility, right? So that's the goal there. I'm very upset though because I've lost my dice bag. I don't know where it is. I was gonna roll a d20 to decide what shelf to go for. And the idea with that is that there's 19 shelves with 2 rows each on them. And so I was going to roll a d20, and if it landed between 1 to 19, that would dictate the shelf. And then I was going to roll a d6, and if it was even, I'd read the one on the front, and if it was odd, I'd read the one in the back, or however I wanted to do that. And if it rolled on a d20, I'd get to select whatever shelf I wanted. I'm still good to do that, but I'm going to use my phone I've looked all over for that. I even looked under the bed. I looked everywhere for my dice bag, and it's a really nice bag too, and it has my little, I played Pathfinder, not Dungeons and Dragons, but I lost my little figurine too. It's been a while since I played anyways, so that's weird. I got this app thing with different dice on it. It has a d20 here. So I think I just click on it. Do I click on it again? No. Okay, so I just click on it and it'll give me a number, and the number is 9. So we're gonna go 1, 2, oh no, that's not 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it is this shelf over here. You can't really see it. And then I'm gonna roll the d6, and if it's odd, I'll read the first row. If it's even, I'll read the second row. Please be odd, because it's a 2, so it's even. So I'm going to read the row behind that. What I'm going to do is rearrange the books. I'm figuring this out on camera in case you can't realize. You know what? Actually, I'm just going to read the book that's in front just because it is such a pain. There's a lot of stuff over here. I'm just going to bring you closer to this section over here to see what books are on the shelf. Okay, so this is it's an interesting angle. not that bad. I thought it'd be worse. So I'm just gonna begin with these two books. These aren't on the shelves. These are just books that I want to read throughout the year. The Grey House and then The Bone Hunters. They're just two massive books that I'm just taking my time to get through. So those are on every TBR until I finish them. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull the books off, hopefully, one by one. So start here. Toni Morrison, Sula. It's Toni Morrison. I don't exactly know what this one's about. The rich and moving novel traces the life of two black heroines from their close-knit childhood in a small Ohio town through the sharply diverging paths of women to their ultimate confrontation and reconciliation. I don't need to know any more than that it's Toni Morrison. I've only ever read Beloved by her, but I would love to read more by her. This I probably won't... Oh, you know what? I am actually in the middle of this one. So this is Prince of Dogs. This is book 2 in the Crown of Stars series by Kate Elliott. It's an interesting fantasy. There's some typical elements, you know, other races and elves, and the prince is a half human, half elf type thing. And dark forces, that kind of stuff. But what really intrigues me about this is the religion and women in it, in that women are... There's still women issues, like, you know, issues of rape and all that kind of stuff, but it's women are can be in political power, and it's not a big deal, or in, you know, the highest level of religious power as well. So that was really interesting in this like medieval setting to have women in positions of power. Editing Courtney here. Another really interesting aspect of this book in regards to the religion is that it is very closely related to Christianity and the history of like medieval Christianity and how it's not exactly like our present day Christianity as well. So yeah, there's that interesting aspect. Their god is, however, broken up into male and female, as opposed to just one god. So yeah, thought that was interesting as well. I got Zorba the Greek. This is a classic by Nikos Kazantzakis. I did no preparation for this. I believe it's a Greek classic. The author's own experience in the Peloponnesus in the 1920s. And then we have, another classic. I'm just going to remove this because I'm going to knock it down. The Sorrow of War by, do we have his last name on here? Or his first name? It'd be nice if they had the author's name here. Oh, Bao Ninh. Translated into English by Frank Palmos from the original translation by Phan Dan Hao. And I believe, 1969, American Napalm, Vietnam War. This one I don't know if I'll read again. Mary Higgins Clark, All Through the Night. This was a gift from my grandparents in 2001. I believe it's a story about a young woman who was adopted, and she's trying to find her birth mother. We have A Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell. This is, I don't know if it's just literary fiction, mythology, comparative mythology. It's a classic in it's not theology. What's the word? Theory, literary theory. Okay. These three are all books that I'm not going to reread, so I'm not going to talk about them. We have Pompey the Little, the history of Pompey the Little, which is a dog's perspective, and he goes through all different classes in society as he gets adopted through different families and sees different families. It's interesting. I got The Pearl That Broke Its Shell by Nadia Hashimi. Is this? Yeah, this one I've already read by her. This is a really good book. I've already read that one, though I don't think I'll reread it. I have Yellow Wife by Sadeqa Johnson. This is about slavery. We follow Phoebe Dolores Brown, shielded by her mother's position as the estate's medicine woman and cherished by the master's sister. She's set apart from the others on the plantation belonging to neither world. So that's, I've heard really good things about that. Now another thing, if there's books in a series and I haven't read the first one, I probably won't read it, but I might, if I could, because the show's really random, find the first book in that series and read it, but maybe not. So Trickster Drift, which one is this? Okay, so this is the second one in the series, and I've read the first one. The first one is Son of a Trickster. So in here we're following the first book. I'll tell you about that one instead of this one. His name is Jared Martin. I'm horrible with names, so I had to remind myself of that. He's an indigenous youth, and he's it's like a, I guess the trope would be like gangster with a heart of gold type thing. Like, he's dealing drugs, but he's also helping his elderly neighbors, kind of thing. And things start to go a little weird. Yeah, I don't want to explain more than that because we don't really discover why things are so weird until near the end of the book. But it's a trilogy, and so this is the second book in the trilogy, and I look forward to reading that. This is a book I do want to reread. It's been a long time since I've read it. This is Snow Crash by Neal Stephenson. If you liked Ready Player One and there's that Chinese fantasy book, The Third Planet Problem, something like that. This book is probably what inspired those books. It's about our main character, hero protagonist, that's his name. He goes into this virtual world and has to solve a puzzle, and it talks about languages and the logic and all sorts of cool stuff. So this is definitely on the TBR. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to stand up because I can't reach that far back. Okay, the angle's changed. I'm no longer in frame. I just need to be able to reach the books, and that chair wasn't helping. So here we have Che Guevara's Motorcycle Diaries. I haven't read these yet. It's just him before he got to Cuba and going around to all the different places in Central and South America on his motorcycle. I know he's a controversial figure. Then I have Let Me In up here, a classic horror by John, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. It's on screen, you can read it yourself. And this is I think we follow some kids, and one of them, I think, is a vampire. I don't know. That's as much as I know about it. Our first book on religion here, How Jesus Became Christian by Barrie Wilson. And this is talking about how did a young, well-respected rabbi become the head of a cult that bears his name, espouses a philosophy that he wouldn't wholly understand, and possesses a clear streak of anti-Semitism that sparked hatred against the generation of Jews who followed him. So yeah, I'm interested to read that. I'm gonna leave that one out so it's easier to take these books out. Then I got India, A History by John Keay, and this is a hefty book. I guess with all the notes and stuff, it's less than 500 pages, but I'm pretty sure it is what it says on the cover. Then we have The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and 6 more. I've read some of these. I haven't read all of them. This is just a classic Roald Dahl. I Am a Truck. When I was doing research on New Brunswick literature, this one popped up quite frequently by Michelle Winters. I got this from the library when I first moved here, but I had some trouble because there's a lot of French in here that's not translated, and I don't speak French. But I own a copy now, so I can actually go through it instead of feeling pressured by library returns and stuff like that. This is about a husband and wife And then the husband goes missing. Thomas King is one of my favorite authors. This is Dreadful Water. I've only read one piece of fiction by him, On the Back of the Turtle, and I really loved it. I've read a lot of his nonfiction though, but this is a fiction one. It's a mystery. We follow some Dreadful Water, a Cherokee ex-cop. So, you know, he's going to get pulled back into solving crimes. As I said, I'm not going to read all of these, but I do want to read as much as I can. Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fanny Flagg. This is a subtle LGBTQ classic, I believe. It's first the story of two women in the 1980s, of grey-headed Mrs. Threadgood telling her life story to Evelyn, who is a sad slump of middle age. The tale she tells is also of two women of the irrepressible, daredevilish tomboy, Edgy, and her friend Ruth, who back in the 30s ran a little place in Whistle Stop, Alabama, Southern Cafe, woebegone, offering good barbecue and good coffee and all kinds of love and laughter, even an occasional murder. So, there we go. Then I have the Children of the Jacaranda Tree by Sahar Deliajani, and this mostly just brought because of the cover, but it is set in Iran in a prison. Children whose mothers have been placed into Tehran's prisons. Sounds interesting. And I have Jeanette Witterson's Gut Symmetries. This is one of her fiction pieces. Redraws the romantic triangle for the post-Einsteinian universe, where gender is as elastic as matter, and any accurate grand unified theory must encompass desire alongside electromagnetism and gravity. That does sound interesting. Here's the second book on religion, Sacred Origins of Profound Things, the stories behind the rites and rituals of the world's religions. I wonder what religions it talks about. Oh, prayer postures, that's interesting. Popular piety, heavenly hosts. It doesn't say what religions. There's a mention of Allah and God. So I'm assuming it's Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Almost done here. I'm just gonna pull out the whole section here. And hopefully those don't all fall down. So we have Black Swan Green by David Mitchell. He's of Cloud Atlas fame. January 1982, 13-year-old Jason Taylor, a covert stammerer and reluctant poet, anticipates a stultifying year in his backwater English village. Then I have Kintu by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. I think this is first published in Kenya in 2014. Kintu is a modern classic. Just love that cover. I saw that on Brown Girls Reading Channel, and I don't need to know any more about it than that. Musicophilia by Oliver Sacks. He's I don't know what he actually is. I want to say psychologist or neurologist. He does stuff with the brain. So this is about how music affects the brain. Another book about religion, God Enter Stage Left. I believe this is... Okay, the Bible shown as a six-act play, shining light on an irreligious plotline that is all too often misunderstood. That intrigues me. I have no idea what it's about, but we'll find out. And the last three books here... Oh, nope, there's the fourth. Last four books here. We have The Girl with No Name, which is about... I was fascinated with feral children when I was younger. And this is a girl who was a feral child. She was abducted in South America, and then they left her behind in the Colombian jungle, and she found a troop of monkeys, capuchin monkeys, and lived with them for 5 years, it says, yeah. And I have Night Prayers by Santiago Gamboa. I brought this because it's a Europa edition, and I just really like these books. And this is Colombian philosophy student is accused of drug trafficking in Bangkok, arrested and given an ultimatum, plead guilty or face the death penalty. That sounds interesting. And then we have The Unit by Ninni can't pronounce that. And this is, where is this from? Okay, so it's a society where women over 50 and men over 60 who are unmarried and childless are sent to a retirement community called the Unit. And then I have The Strange Scent of Saffron by Melina Babin, and this is Lower St. Lawrence. So is this Quebecois as well? Yeah, okay. Oh, there the tough young woman meets Jacob, an HIV-positive restaurant owner mixed up in illegal saffron trafficking. Meanwhile, in India, Amar is about to take part in his first harvest of the red gold, while his sister, Alaka, tries to conceal the embarrassment of her first period. Interesting. I've really been enjoying Quebecois literature recently. So, that is it. I'm going to be reading that shelf, and it's handy because I can just pull it off the shelf and put it back on. I don't need random piles of books around my room like that right now. That is my September TBR pile of possibilities kind of dealio. We'll see how it goes. I will be updating throughout September, hopefully, about how that goes and how much I get read. And let me know what you're reading this month, and thank you for watching.